Gonna come in and they're gonna tell you, I can't talk with this thing on my mouth. They're gonna tell you, you know, do what you want to do. So that means you have to have some kind of vision. Like, what do you envision for your client's hair? Because when it's all said and done, if they tell you they want a new look, you have to be the one to create that new look for them. So right now, I don't really know what I'm gonna do, but guess what? By the time it's all said and done, I'm gonna have it figured out, and she gonna like it. Because that's the whole reason why people keep coming back to you, because they like what they do. I mean, they like what you do.
Yep, that's why I'm here. And I don't let anybody in my head, and you know that.
Oh yeah, I know.
Huh?
I say, yeah, you know, I know. I'm grateful and appreciative for all my clients. And so she's just getting a black color, but there's still proper ways for you to apply it. Sectioning is gonna always be key. And as I'm actually going through her hair, you always want to make sure that you analyze the person's hair and scalp based upon the services that you're going to be providing. So she's getting a haircut anyway, so I don't have to tell her, you know, oh, well, you need a haircut, because she already came in requesting a haircut. And so right here, she has like a little breakage here. So that lets me already know I was going to tell her anyway, she needs to get some kind of cut, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so she getting color, so you need gloves on. Never put color on without gloves. Sometimes I do, and then when it's all said and done, my hands are stained, but I'm okay with that too. So our hair is sectioned. Color is right here. And it would be great if this is an applicator bowl, guys. You need this, and you also need developer. Depending upon the type of color that you're doing, like this is a permanent color. It's black, so it's not really like it really matters. So some people are like, oh, I don't want permanent color. It's like, really, permanent color is the one that you want, because it's going to lift and deposit color. That's what it does. But when it's black, all you really needed to do is just lift a little bit so the black can actually deposit into the hair. So if you can see, you know, she had like gray hair. So when it's all said and done, all of this is going to be black. But you have to make sure that you understand that the strength of color that you're using based upon the developer is going to really make sure that it works. So technically, if her hair, like if she didn't have any gray in her hair, I would use 10 volume developer. So developer comes in 4 common strengths: 10 volume, 20 volume, 30 volume, 40 volume. And the levels of increments, basically, like, you know, 10, 20, 30, 40. So level 10, or developer with the strength of 10, is going to give you 1 level of lift. 20 volume gives you 2 levels of lift. 30 volume gives you 3 levels of lift, and 40 volume gives you 4 levels of lift. But with black, it's the darkest color, so we're not trying to lift her 4 levels and then deposit the black on there. So, but because she has gray, the rule of thumb is when you're coloring gray hair, you want to use 20 volume developer. Reason being is because gray hair is known to be resistant, meaning it's very hard for the color to penetrate, right? So we need to use 20, so that way we know for sure it's going to really pull the hair up, like open up the cuticle layers. Y'all, it's really a lot when it comes down to hair. I swear to God, it's like you're a scientist when it's all said and done, because you really have to understand the chemistry of all of this stuff. So we're going to use 20 volume developer with our permanent hair color, and we're going to mix it together, and then we're going to apply it to our hair. All the time, all colors, because there are different brands of colors, and not all brands come with the same amount of information. Now, inside of this bowl, there's numbers. So just in case y'all was like, well, how you know how much developer you putting in there? Well, there's numbers here. Y'all see them?
Yeah.
So 1 to 9. So it's 9 ounces of liquid that can go in this bowl. However, in each compartment, because this mixing bowl is, you can actually do 4 different colors, because there's some people who really want to get more than 1 color at one time. So you don't have to keep, you know, I have around you like 50 different bowls of color. You just use one that has multiple compartments. Then, ouch. Once you do that, you have applicator brushes. You have this kind. And you have some that actually have bristles on the end. I don't really like those. I had one in here. It's probably across the hall too. But I use them periodically. However, these right here is called the Sprush. These are my favorites. I don't have to worry about any color being locked inside the bristles. And it gives me a smooth and even application. So you want to make sure it's mixed all the way. And once you really understand what you're doing, you can take and customize your formulas. I do a lot of custom blends because, you know, anybody could come and take and read the, you know, if you have good understanding, you could read the directions, and all it does is they basically all say the same thing, you know, because permanent color, again, is going to do two things. It's going to lift and deposit. So it's easy. That's just like I can tell you, read it, and you can do your own hair color at home. But I don't really want you to get what I can do for you at home yourself. Like, I don't want you to be able to do that. Like, I need to be able to mix some stuff together that you can't do, so that way you don't know how to do it at home. And guess what that means? You have to do what? Keep coming back. I'm thinking about it before I forget. She's getting what's considered to be a retouch application. So all of the color don't get pulled all the way to the end. So you're only putting it on all of the fresh hair that's just right at the scalp. That's all we're doing. And then if a client comes in and you want to refresh all of the ends, you can do so when you get to the shampoo bowl. And I'll show y'all that too when we get ready to go over to the shampoo bowl. So even though we know that y'all are not licensed, gray hair, you know, like salt is white, you know. Yeah, it's kind of corny, I know. Yeah, it really is, but that's what it is. Because you'll hear it again, you know, if y'all decide to go to beauty school. So yeah. So there's a couple of things that you can do. And when she asked me, you know, she wanted a color, we talked about, you know, what color family she may want to stay in. And, you know, I was telling her, it's like, hey, you know, when people call and ask me for color and cuts and stuff, yeah, I'm all for it. You know why? Because it's cool to let them, you know, step outside of the box. And then it also gets to show your artistic ability, you know, like what's your creative level? And all of us have different levels of creativity, but I love it when they call me asking that. But the thing with gray hair is that it's already lighter than all of the other hair, right? So you know how some people come in and they get highlights? Well, when they have gray hair mixed with their darker hair, you're giving them basically two things in one. You're giving them an all-over color, also with hints of highlights that you really ain't even have to work hard to do, because guess what? The gray hair is already there. Now, they have some people that'll come in and say they want their whole head to be the same color, but I explained to her during our little text consultation that her grays will show up as highlights, and you know, it basically, is she okay with that? She was like, yeah. And see, again, most of all my clients, they always tell me do what I want to do, so I love that. But I always explain to them, you know, the different scenarios, the different outcomes that they could possibly have, right? So what we're going to do with her today is she usually does stuff in the red family, and so we're going to give her something. Not really, it's not, I don't even want to say what we're going to do. Like, I want y'all to actually see it, because I don't even want her to know. You know, if I say something now, then it'll be like she'll kind of have, you know, an idea of where we're going. And because she told me do what I want to do, I don't even want her to know where we're going. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I like that.
And I never tell somebody to do what they want to do in my head.
That's because they be trusting me. All right, so do y'all remember what I told y'all the rule of thumb is for developer? Like, what developer you should use when you're doing gray hair? I remember 20. Oh, I love y'all was listening to me. Yes, but for Miss Michelle today, we're gonna actually add in a little bit of 30. It's gonna be mostly 20, but a little bit of 30. I told y'all I'm all about customization, because you want to be able to do something. So I need the 20, of course, to help, you know, penetrate the gray. But I also want the 30 to help give her darker hair just like a little bit of like oomph. It's really not gonna do too much, but just a little bit. So that way, like, we really, because when people come sit in the chair and they want transformations, you want to be able to give them something that's going to look renewed and transformed. So catch that. You always want to make sure that you have enough color on hand to complete your service. So I usually keep a lot of black because that's something that a lot of my clients get. They have gray hair and they don't want the black to show. But then usually other people, when they call me in advance and they ask for something that I don't have, then I usually go run to the store and get it. Now, when the school actually opened, the benefit of that is that I'll have like a whole lot of different colors on hand, because when people come to the school to get their hair done, they're walk-ins. They don't have to schedule appointments. So if you get somebody that comes in and they want something that you don't have and you have your consultation, you can go ahead on and do it. Now, some people, because when they come in, you have to do something called a patch test, and that's just to see if they're actually allergic to the color, because colors have something called dye precursors in them, and some people are actually allergic to some of them. So what you don't want to happen is if you don't practice protocol before, like one of those things would be doing a patch test, and that's mixing a little bit of the color that you're going to actually use on them before, like, so they'll come in today for the patch test, right? And then they have to come back 24 to 48 hours. That's how it's technically supposed to be. But a lot of people don't follow protocol as to what they're supposed to do. And sometimes, I'm gonna be honest with y'all, I don't either, because I've already had conversations with clients that already had color before. And they'll usually tell me, you know, if anything has happened before or not. So, and I always tell people, even with me teaching, I also I like to let people know what you're supposed to do. But even though I'm telling you the things that you're supposed to do, not everybody's going to always listen to what you're supposed to do. But at that point, I gave you what you were supposed to do, the right thing to do, and then it's up to you whether you want to follow it. Because I still, remember, I customize and restructure just about everything that I do. Everything. And so with Miss Michelle, her hair is longer here. You never go directly to the scalp when you're doing a virgin application, because what we just did on Sister Lewis over there, she was just getting a retouch. This is a whole virgin application, so you don't go directly to the scalp first. The scalp hair processes faster, or the hair closest to the scalp processes faster, and so you don't want to have lighter color hair here and then darker color here. So that's why you do that. So you're going to see that we're not going to even put color on here until she's halfway finished processing. Then we're going to come back and put the rest of the color on the shorter pieces, because that's closer to her scalp. I like to use the foils to place underneath the hair, so that way, because I don't like cold wet stuff on my ear, so I like to do my clients the same thing that I don't like that. I don't like that wet stuff all on my ear like that. So we don't have to use the whole thing on her. We use it halfway. And so remember, she's getting a virgin application, so we're not going straight to the scalp with hers. So we want to go 1/4 of an inch away from the scalp. Actually, 1/4 to 1/2 inch away from the scalp, because I'm like 1/2 inch away from the scalp. And you want to make sure that product goes through the entire strands on the top and the bottom, because you want to make sure that you get full color penetration. And because I don't want this to sit on her ear or even touch her ear, I'm gonna let that sit like that. And you also don't saturate the ends, because the ends and the hair closest to the scalp process the fastest. But I'm gonna bring it close to the ends, just not where it's fully covering the ends. And then you do the same exact thing with your 1/4 of an inch subsections all the way through. Make sure that you have product again on the top and the bottom. And you want to make sure you get even saturation. And remember, her grays will be a little bit lighter, which is going to give off that contrast of highlights.